In some of our previous lessons, we talked about some of PHP's operators, along with the variable types that use them. These operators that we discussed included operators that we could use for numbers, things like addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. We talked about incrementing and decrementing a number, and the plus and the minus allow us to increase or decrease the value of a number by 1. And then we talked about the assignment operator, just the straight equal sign, which is used to set the value of a variable regardless of the type. And we talked about concatenating, where we use the period, and that allows us to append strings together. So when we work with conditionals, we're going to be using the comparison and logical operators. These are the ones that are going to be most important for us to use here. So these are going to be things like the equality, inequality, less than, greater than, or less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. Now you know from what we've talked about before that the equal sign doesn't have a conventional meaning. So when we write var equals 5, this doesn't state that the value of the var variable is equal to 5, but we're assigning a value of 5. So this is an important distinction that I want you to keep in mind. When we write conditionals, we often want to see if a variable is equal to a specific value. So we'll want to match usernames or passwords, for instance. And we can't do that with just the equal sign alone, because that operator is used for assigning a value, not equating a value. So when we want to do some sort of comparison, we're going to use the equality operator. And the equality operator is going to be the equal symbol. So we could do something like this, where we have our variable and we're assigning a value of 5. And then we could write a conditional, and in the condition, if we write something like this, var equal 5, what happens is this first line of code is establishing the value of the variable as 5. And then we're going to make a true conditional here that's going to check to see if the value of var is equal to 5. So this example demonstrates the significant difference that by using 2 equal signs as opposed to 1 equal sign, and how there is a difference. So in PHP, you need to distinguish carefully between the assignment and the comparison operator. Another comparison operator that we would use commonly is the not equal to symbol. And not equal to is represented by an exclamation and then an equal sign. So it would look like this. And then we have the remaining comparison operators, which are going to be identical to their mathematical counterparts. These are going to be things like less than, greater than, or less than or equal to, and greater than or equal to. So what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be working in the same file that we're working with before, and you're already familiar with this because we've been working on it throughout this section of the course. So we're going to be taking the form that we have, and what we want to do here is we want to, in our PHP, confirm that the password that the user entered is the same. So we want to confirm that whatever they enter in the first field of the password matches what they're putting in the second field of the password. So we already have a line for our password validation, and this is just verifying that the user has entered something into the password. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use the comparison operators, and we're going to validate the password, and let's also validate the year's values. So I'm just going to make a comment that I'm going to check the passwords, and then we're going to enter the code. So I'm going to use a conditional. I'll use my if statement, and we're going to be checking the value of the password. So what we're going to write right here is we're going to say if, and we're going to check from our post array, we're going to check the value of the password field, and we're going to say if it's not equal to the confirm field. So if we look back here, you can see that we have the ID of password assigned to the password, and then we have the ID of confirmed assigned to the confirm password. So we're saying if those things aren't equal, and if they aren't equal, we're going to print a message using our class of error, and we're just going to say your confirmed password does not match the original password. And we're setting OK to false here. What we're doing right here is we're comparing the two string values using the inequality operator, and we're just saying if this is not the same, essentially. So if we save this right now and we go back to our browser, and if I fill out my form, and if I set the password, and if I come here and I use a different password, you can see that I'm getting my error message that the confirmed password does not match the original password. So let's go back here, and now if we fill out the same information and we use the exact same password and we click send it, now we don't get the error message anymore. So that's the first step. That's the first thing we want to take care of. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go down to our year validation, and we're going to be checking to see if the user was born before a particular year, because what we don't want to happen is we don't want the user to be able to put that they were born in 2030 or something like that, because that is in the future. So in order to prevent this from happening, we're going to write another conditional. So in my script, I'm going to make another comment, and we're going to just say that we're going to verify that the year is not in the future. So in order to do this, we're going to use our conditional again, and I'm going to start by saying if, and we're going to check the year field of our post, and I'm going to say if the year is greater than 2018, and then what we're going to want to do here is we're going to want to print out a message to our user. So I'll specify a message, and then we're going to set OK equal to false like we did before. So if our user enters a birth year of 2018 or later, we're going to presume that they've made a mistake. I'll save my script, and if we go back out to the browser and if we refresh and send this off again, and if I put that I was born in a year that's in the future and I send, you can see that it's letting me know that I've come from the future. So it's asking me to go back and re-enter this. And then if I simply write a year that is within our time constraints and click send it, then it registers us. And let me just come here, and I'm going to add my error class to my paragraph. So this shows up in red since this is a mistake, and that looks pretty good. So now you can see how we're enhancing our form by adding the comparison operators and allowing us to really give specific feedback to the user.